All right, we're back here at the Franklin Community High School Career Exploration Project. And with me this afternoon is Jesse Carter. And Jesse is the project manager at Maddox Industrial. Jesse, thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
So project manager at Maddox Industrial, why don't you tell us a little bit about that and kind of how you got into that position and what you do in that role?
Well, I've been here at Maddox for 20 plus years. Basically started right out of high school as a laborer for the company. As far as project management, what I do on a day-to-day basis here at Maddox, I'm in charge of looking for projects to bid, putting a price together. And to put a price together, you may need to get quotes from other companies or for parts or materials, and you got to estimate how much labor, how long it's going to take to do the job. And there are tools to help you with that, plus the experience with that. And then I put proposals out to customers, for the projects. Once awarded a project, you don't get everyone you go after, but once awarded a project, then it's my job to facilitate getting the materials ordered, lining up the labor to get the job done, communicating with the customer on a time frame, and getting it done in a timely frame for them. Time frame that fits in their schedule. How I got here was my stepfather worked for Maddox Industrial. So growing up, that's where he went to work every day. And after I got out of school, I needed somewhere to work, and so I applied, and they hired me. Started as a laborer, just turning wrenches, doing what I was told. And then I worked my way up through being a laborer to being to getting some skills in millwright and welding. Then I began running crews. Had my own small crew I would take, and my job here has been a lot of maintenance. Fixing broken items, worn out items, and from there I moved up to a foreman, where I ran a little bit bigger crew, took care of the project basically from start to finish. And then when the company, the owner retired and we got a new owner, they asked me to step out of the field position of the foreman into the project management to help run the side of the business where I have the experience in.
Yeah. So what kind of jobs do you bid for? Like what's Maddox's, what do they look for? Is it like big warehouses, or what do they
So I've always struggled with people asking me what I do for a living. What I tell people is I don't build the buildings. We don't build the buildings. We put the stuff in the buildings. Whether that be a piece of equipment in a factory that stamps out a part, or at a chemical plant that has pumps and pipes, washes or transfers or heats up or cools down. There's a wide variety of industries we're involved in. We do a lot of piping. And with piping, it can be chemicals, acids, water, wastewater, gases, compressed air, a variety of things. My main role here is I'm mostly in the wastewater and water treatment industries. So when you run the water at your sink and the water comes out, there's a system that got it there. And when it goes down the sink drain, that water goes somewhere, and we work at the plants that supply the water, and we work at the plants that clean the dirty water. It's my main projects I do here at Maddox.
Gotcha. So, what kind of led you to this? Was it just you needed a job and they gave you a job and you're like, hey, I actually really like this? Or is it something you knew you wanted to get into, like the, construction or things like that along that?
So I always liked working with my hands and getting things done and doing things. So I knew I was going to work with my hands. Um, High school, I did some work on some farms. I also went to Central 9. I took the buildings trades class in Central 9. I chose building trades because at that time we would go out and build a house. And I didn't know what, I
Yeah,
knew
they
I
still
wanted to do
do that.
construction. I just knew, I didn't know what type of construction. And with the building of the house, you got to do concrete, you got to do block, you got to do putting up the boards, putting up the drywall, doing the electrical, doing the plumbing, doing the HVAC. And so I got a wide variety to see a wide variety of activities go on. And I kind of chose what I liked and what I didn't like. And then being where my stepfather worked, you know, I liked working on the farms that I worked for, but there just wasn't the longevity there. I mean, wasn't the pay, wasn't the benefits. So I applied and got a job, and I'm happy working with my hands and doing things. So the industrial world is a little different than your commercial and residential. There is a lot more in safety. We're dealing with a lot bigger equipment. You know, your house piping is 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. The piping we're dealing with is 4 inch, 6 inch, you know, 16 inch, 20 inch. I mean, pipes you can walk in, crawl in. I mean, really big equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm sure it is a lot different than just doing the normal residential type or anything like that. And the building trades still does build the house. We actually had our because I'm the counselor here in charge of Central 9, and we had our our counselors meeting for Central 9 at the house that they built. It was beautiful. I mean, it was amazing. So as far as the job goes, you know, what are some of the things that you look at and you're like, this is one of the good things. This is one of the things I really like. Obviously for you, it'd probably be, you know, the ability to work with your hands and something that you're familiar with. What are some things you don't necessarily like as much?
So being in the industrial field, yeah, I like working with my hands. I like solving problems. The downsides, we work on equipment when it's not working. So you look at your average day of the week, that equipment runs Monday through Friday. So it involves a lot of weekend work, a lot of work over holidays. They shut down. Everybody's home for Thanksgiving. Us contractors, we get to go to work. So I don't see that as much now in the office, but I'm scheduling guys and asking them to miss their family holidays, or you know, work this Saturday, but maybe their kid has a ball game. That's a downside. We work in some dangerous places, steel mills. There's molten steel, chemical plants. There's acids that can damage your skin, damage when you breathe in. There's precautions you have to take for that. My line of work is mostly in the wastewater, and people see dirty water and they're just, that's gross. And there parts of it are kind of gross. But somebody's got to do the work. Mike Rowe made a great TV show, Dirty Jobs, and I have done most of what he did on that show.
So it really wasn't dirty for you at all. You're just like, this is every day. I don't understand.
This is every day. Yes. There are times I would go to work and when I get home at night, I'd throw my clothes away.
Oh, well, sometimes that's all you can do, right? I mean, but it's like
It
you
is. I mean,
got to do that stuff.
Someone has to do it, and you are compensated well for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what type of person, just going off of that, do you think would do well at a job like this? And what type of person would not do as well, you think?
So in the industrial construction, we need guys that'll just get down, get dirty, and try something to get it fixed. If you break any job down, to its bare minimum. It's, it's turning a wrench, tightening a bolt, looking at something, using a tool to make sure it's level, plumb, straight. It's the knowledge of knowing what steps to take. So the kind of person that likes that, with that being said, there are jobs that need finesse or like your machinist type exact when you're dealing with fractions of an inch. And there's others that in the industrial world, you can just take a bar and you get it so it looks like it's together. You put a bolt in it and tighten it up. So there's a wide variety of needs in the trades, especially in the industrial trades. You need the guy that's got the patience, but you also need a guy that's going to get it done. Someone that likes to work with their hands. Someone that, for me, it's cause and effect. It's thinking, if this gear turns, this happens. If this valve opens, the water goes there. Be able to picture in your mind how the system works. Mm-hmm. Understand how the system works.
Yeah. So like you've got to have some critical thinking and some analytical abilities and traits in your mind to do that.
There's also a fair amount of math. Not usually hard math, but you got to think, I need to get from point A to point B, and it is 20 feet or inches long. And in that space, I need to put this machine and this valve, and you got to do some math. Will it fit? Will it not fit? Laying out equipment, and you go to a big open building, and they give you a measurement like it needs to be 30 feet off the column.
Right.
You got to measure that out and make square lines, and because once you set it and it's crooked, it'll be crooked forever.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do that. So as far as preparation for the industrial technology field, what would you suggest for someone in high school or even in college? I mean, obviously, Central 9 would be good for them, but anything else before that?
Looking for opportunities to learn, to see a tool, see someone using a tool, ask them how that tool works. Don't just assume you watching knows how to function that tool. You need to ask questions, learn, and ask maybe why they're using that tool. Because what we're seeing now is the guys come in with very little experience, whereas used to guys work in the backyard with dad or grandpa. They're not. So we need the guys that, they go out and they work on the truck on the weekend.
Right.
How to change a tire. They've used a ratchet. They've used a hammer. They've got some basic knowledge. And then once you go into whatever trade you need, you'll learn more. But we need somebody with some basic tool knowledge, basic how it works knowledge.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes sense. If you come in, it's not, you're not necessarily just going to have time for someone to teach them everything. They're going to have some sort of knowledge. So
they got some basic knowledge, right, and want to learn it. I mean, if you don't want it, it's really hard to teach someone how to cut straight, mm-hmm, or, take care of tools or take care of the equipment. We can teach it.
Right.
The trades will teach it, but you've got to have a desire. If it's not something you can tolerate, if it's the worst thing for you, then this is not the place for you.
Yeah. So last question for you. Think about when you were in high school, 7 or 8 years ago, and just give me some general advice for high school students.
My general advice, this is what I did in school. Your freshman and sophomore year, work hard. Take the classes. Um, get your schoolwork done, do good grades. By the time you're in your sophomore, your junior year, you're getting your license. You're wanting a little more independence, and if you've got that heavy load of school classes, you've got to take all these heavy classes your junior and senior year. High school's a fun time. You need to, when you start driving, it's a whole new freedom for me, and hanging out with friends when I wanted to, and going to the McDonald's when I wanted to. And your freshman and sophomore year, you're tied down a little more because you don't drive. And if you get your hard classes, get all those core classes, then, there are tough classes your junior and senior year, but you can take a study hall to get some of that done. Right. You teacher's aid. You can, it was kind of fun being a senior in some of the shop classes, because you were surrounded by the freshmen, and they were like, "Oh, cool, you drive. Oh, how was this teacher, this year?" I worked real hard my freshman and sophomore years, took some honors classes. Junior year, I had a pretty full schedule. My senior year, I had got majority of my credits done, and I still did C9. That was half of my day. I took my English and I think you did government and econ. Mm-hmm. But I took a little lighter load my senior year, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it goes by real quick. So it's
it's a great time in your life. It is. Yeah. It shapes who you are.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Jesse, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Once again, Jesse Carter, project manager at Maddox Industrial here on the Franklin Community High School Career Exploration Project.